Hey, how are you?
What's going on? Welcome in.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. How's it going?
How was your vacation?
It was good. It was it's my husband's family owns a home that they've owned since the late 1700s. And it's a historic house that about 60 of his family members own, and he's eighth generation. So we have 2 weeks where we go up to the house where all of his cousins and all of our kids go up there for the entire weekend. So, oh, thank you, Cosmic. So it was a really fun time. I wouldn't call it restful.
It's got to be like a scene out of Grown Ups.
That's exactly what it is. And we call it feral parenting, where we just like kind of let our kids like do whatever they want. If they want to, yeah, if they want to eat like Nerds gummies like for dinner, we're fine with it, you know? So it is really fun, and it's a really special time. It's not like a super like kickback and relax vacation.
Yeah,
you know,
in the morning the kids are running around.
no, but it's so cute to see them with their cousins, you know. All of the cousins are in California, so they come out, and our kids are like, they're all different ages, but from the second they get there, they're like all together the entire weekend. And it's so cool to see, because like that's how we grew up, you know. Things are changing these days, where like everyone's on devices and stuff like that, and it's just really fun to see them do that.
Oh,
So
absolutely. Yeah, I spent
yours.
time out in Montana, Wyoming, and
Nice.
Idaho, and it was beautiful. I mean, I went to Yellowstone, I went to the Grand Tetons.
Is that the first time you've been out there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you go with friends or family?
It was my brother's 40th, so I went out there with
Nice.
siblings.
Nice. How many siblings do you have?
I got an older brother and an older sister.
Okay, nice. So you're the baby. I'm the oldest. I'm the oldest of four.
I
So
am. Yeah, no, pictures can't justify it. It was a beautiful experience. I probably would go again, but I can't imagine living out there, you know.
yeah, out in the middle of nowhere. Where are you? Are you in Jersey or New York?
I'm in New York.
New York. Okay.
Is it-
Yeah,
is it-
I'm in Connecticut. Huh?
Is it the accent? You were trying to
Yeah, I knew it was one of them. I'm in Connecticut, so like I'm right next door. But and I have an office in New York actually. But yeah, I got the accent.
Yeah, usually people on the live, they try to pinpoint it. It's like, is it Boston? Is it New York?
Yeah, you do sound a little Boston-y, because like my whole family is from New Bedford actually, and you sound a little bit New Bedford-y to me too.
It might just be Long Island. I don't know what it
It
is.
might be. It might be. It might
Funny,
be.
because every time I try to talk to people, they're like, what is that drink you drink in the morning? It's like coffee. Like they try to bait me into saying things. It's like, you want me to say coffee, don't you?
Exactly. You're like, you just wanted to hear the accent, but you know, it's all right.
Absolutely.
But yeah, no, thanks for having me on. I'm glad to be back. You know, the summer is almost over, and it's my kids are going back to school next week, so I feel like we're going to be like back in a normal area.
It's that time. Yeah, I'm excited to have you on, and
Thank you.
I'm really excited to learn from you and get to know you a little bit better, as well as everyone else.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into it. Can we start with your story? What inspired you to become BullishBabe, and how did your interest in crypto begin?
Yeah. So we, like I said, I live in Connecticut. I didn't have a lot of financial education growing up, right? My parents, my dad was an attorney. My mom was pretty much a stay-at-home mom. She worked on and off. And like I said, I'm one of four. I'm the oldest. I also come from a biracial couple. My dad is Black, my mom's white. And so that kind of formed me growing up. And I think a lot of people, you know, when you're young and you're going through, even through college, like they don't teach you a lot of finances and like how to invest and to invest early, or to look at things early that may not be, you know, what everybody else is looking into. And so, so we live in Connecticut, and our neighbors next door, he invested in Bitcoin really early. He's one of the Genesis Ethereum block holders. And so he had told me about it. We would have this thing called porch wine. They would come over, him and his wife, and we became very, very good friends. And he would tell me about Bitcoin. And at the time, you know, I own a recruiting business in the fashion industry. I also own a podcast, a Working Moms podcast, which is monetized now. And so I'm like a little bit of a workaholic. I guess you could call me that. My husband would definitely call me that. And so I, at that time, I was working a ton. And so I thought it was interesting, but I was like, you know what? I know myself and I am ADHD and I hyper focus. So if I'm going to get into this, like I'm going to need a lot more time than just like, a couple of hours on the weekend. And so during 2020, my business slowed down a bit for fashion. And so I had a little bit of time on my hands. Like I said, hyper focus. So you know what? I didn't share out the live. Hold on one second. I should do that. So I started to hyper focus, and I would wake up every single morning to YouTube videos. I would watch Cryptos R Us, Crypto Lifer, Tom Crown, like the OGs, right? Wendy O, Ragsy. And I just took in as much information as I possibly could take in. And then at that time, like it was Reddit. Like that's where you got a lot of your information from. It was Reddit. And so I got on Reddit. I'd never been on before. And I got into some of these crypto groups and I would just read the threads. I'd ask questions. I was really interested in Bitcoin. I was more interested in altcoins and because they had a better ROI. And I started hearing about SHIB. And so I wrote to my neighbor and I said, hey, like I'm hearing about the SHIB. I haven't gotten into anything yet. What do you think of it? And thank you so much. So, thank you. And I said, what do you think of it? And he said, it's crap. Don't get into it. So I said, all right, well, I'm gonna keep looking into it. I looked into it and I got in extremely early. And I made a lot of money on SHIB. This is not to say that meme coins are the way that you should do it, but for me, I researched a lot, and what I saw in the SHIB community was I saw that there were people that were taking it upon themselves to market the asset. And for me, in being in fashion and knowing what marketing does to something, I realized that they were forming not only a community, but it was basically a marketing agency that they were getting for free. And so once I realized that, and once I realized that people were buying billboards and riding around with their cars and license plates, I was like, there's something to this. There has to be. And so I invested in it and it ended up doing really well. The other thing that I did during that time is I taught myself how to stake and farm. And I invested in a lot of gaming projects because at that time there was a pop in gaming, and I understood where that could go from there. And so I invested in a lot of gaming projects, and I staked and I made a ton. And then I would flip those profits into utility projects and flip those profits into, there were some bad investments there. I'm not going to say they were all good. But I did flip some into metaverse properties, which I then flipped. Like I flipped them from, $500 to $12,000. And so I did a lot of that. And then I made some bad investments with the profits. I bought a lot of NFTs, which I feel sick about now when I look at my purchase price. But that's kind of my story. And so that's how I got into crypto. I invested, I waited through the bear market. I definitely round tripped some of my bags. And I've learned that lesson real quick. So I've already taken profit this cycle. I've been in again since 2020. And I've always wanted to, I always want to tell people about crypto. Most people don't listen, right? And women especially have a very small amount of free time. And so it's really hard for them to get into something like I did, I think.
I know you said earlier that you took it upon yourself to obtain that financial education.
Yeah.
Did that come easy for you when you started to look into these projects? Like, how did you start to develop proper habits and then distinguish them from the improper habits?
I think you learn lessons, right? Like the first big lesson I learned, and you learn lessons by doing. And I think a lot of the time as creators, we think we can tell somebody something, or we think we can put it in a live and they will just pick that up and not make the same mistakes that we did, right? And that doesn't happen. I must have heard 10,000 times, make sure that you are sending something on the right network before you press the send button and send a test transaction. And what did I do? I made some profit with SHIB and I sent $9,000 on the BSC chain to Coinbase. And it is still sitting there on the blockchain where I can see it and I can never get to it.
Well, that's what they said. You pay for your education in one way or another.
That's the thing, and we hope that our mistakes will educate other people, but in reality, a lot of the good lessons that you learn and a lot of the way that you get educated is actually to make those same mistakes yourself. And it sucks you have to lose money while you do it, but I can guarantee I will never ever do that again. you know so thank you so much, Helshi.
Yeah, the great thing about, I guess, trying to create content for people is that they can use this as a shortcut, whether they decide to or not. But was there a breakthrough moment for you where you decided this is something I'm going to go all in on, or the first moment that you decided to go in, you just said, I'm going to do it and I'm going to be successful with it?
I think so. Like I said, I'm majorly ADHD. So when I jump in, it's usually with all four appendages, right? And so I knew from the second I got into the space that it was something that I could latch onto. I also knew that I liked the people. Like I feel like I'm not the typical crypto bro. Like I look very different. People I think that I'm like some kind of like a thirst trap at the beginning when they see me to some degree, like I'm dancing or like having fun or whatever. I think a lot of people see that, but I knew that I liked the technology. I understood what the value of crypto was in general. I have, as far as banks go, I love that crypto is something that you can own yourself without having a middleman. And I saw that value right from the start. And then I liked the community. Like I like the people in this space. I think there's a genuine feeling that, and it's not in every space and it's not in every community, but there's a genuine feeling that we all believe in something that is going to be bigger than it is right now. And that's really cool to be a part of.
When you had those moments of failure, was that a discouragement for you, or was that kind of a realization that you have to fail in order for you to become successful? So was that, did it discourage you a little bit, or did it motivate you to keep going with it?
So I think what failure does for me is it opens up a challenge for me. And so I don't think I was ever discouraged by failure. Like even when I sent that, that stupid transaction that I will remember for the rest of my life, I don't think that I ever was discouraged by it. I think it just challenged me to learn more and figure out what I did wrong. And just like, we tell people all the time, you buy on the red days, you sell on the green days, right? That's a very easy concept for us to think that people can grasp, because in all reality, when things are going down, you want to buy them low and you want to sell them high. For me, that was a really hard thing, psychology, to change for me. It took a really long time. And when I finally got it, it was like I couldn't see the other way, right? I can't buy on green days now. Like I'm complete, my self won't let me do it. So I think it just motivated me to learn more and learn why I should do those things versus the other way.
Yeah, I mean, I believe that the most successful people are ultimately the people that have failed the most, right? They say that winners are often they have the most failures, and when a quitter only has one failure. And
right.
When you were first getting in, like you said, and you were buying in on the green days, was that you had to teach yourself to break that habit? Was that because if it was like you had a FOMO? Was that an emotional intelligence that you kind of had to distinct?
Yeah. I mean, I think anyone getting into any market, whether it's the stock market or crypto or any other kind of investing, I think, you as humans, we are set up to look at other people and want what they have, right? Like that's how we're set up. We live it every day. What we don't think about is they only have that because they got it when nobody else had it. And so it took me a long time to figure out, to put that FOMO away and be like, you know what, this looks like it's going up, but I'm not going to take profit from over here and put it into this coin that's going up, because and it took me a lot of tries, right? And I did it a lot of times. So I don't want anyone in here to think that I didn't make a ton of mistakes because I did. I definitely bought the new shiny thing with the profit that I just made off of something that I held for a really long time. We've all done it. And so it took me a long time to get rid of that FOMO. But once I got rid of it, it was like it was gone. Like I will have a hard time thinking that Bitcoin is not going up further than it's going. I know I'll have a hard time with that because I think everyone has a hard time with that. But I won't FOMO into new shiny things now. It's just not part of what I do now.
Yeah, I think that comes to everybody, and when they start to become a more mature investor, not only is it through learning how to research, learning analytics, things like that, but it also comes with emotional, I guess, stoicism.
Yeah.
All of that ties into becoming a successful investor in this space.
Yeah, it does, and I think that a lot of people, it's really hard because as content creators, we get a lot of new people in here who want to buy the new thing, right? Like they come in seeing that new thing at a high.
Whatever's hyping up right now, they hear talk about it. Oh, what do you think of this? What do you think of this? And I'm sure you see it in your comments, right? It's the thing for the week, right? And all you see is comments of it.
Yeah. And it is really hard as someone who is trying to be in this space and protect people and educate people. And I'm not saying I'm, top educator or protector, but it's really hard to talk them out of that once they've already got it. And like, I don't know what your story is when you first got in, but for me, like I was set on SHIB. There wasn't anyone that was going to talk me out of it. And so when new people come in, there's a really soft way of talking that you don't want to alienate them, but you do want to tell them that there is a better way of doing things.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, sometimes it is, like you said, it is difficult to give people that shortcut because they have to ultimately learn themselves, I guess the difference between what's good and what's bad. Speaking of content creating, if we could, I'd like to get into community mentorship and women in crypto. So you often emphasize inclusivity and education in crypto, especially for women. So what motivated you to create that space?
All right. So I've been in the space for 6 years. I have a very big group of friends, and I don't have one of them that's in crypto. So for me, it's really important, and that's not for a lack of trying. That's for a lack of understanding, right? People that it doesn't matter who you are, and you probably know this too. I don't know if your friends are like, oh gosh, like, is he going to get into crypto again? Like when you go on a weekend, they're like, all right, here comes the crypto.
Shut up, please.
Yeah. Like I go on a girls' weekend, they're like, all right, can we just get this over with now so you don't have to talk about it? Like get your computer out, show us your charts, and like, let's be done with, And so that says to me, number one, we're early, which is important, right? And number two, women, like I said at the beginning of this, women have a very small amount of expendable time. And that's not to dog men. That's not to say, men have all this free time. It just is in general an issue, right? If you are a woman and you have kids and a job or maybe two, and you're taking care of everything else, it is really, really hard to find time to even listen to a podcast, right? Which is why our podcast is short, and I know people break it up. And so my journey on TikTok was my journey actually started on Twitter. So I was on Twitter for a really long time before I came, or on X for a long time before I came to TikTok. So my journey is to help women to understand that, number one, it is not as hard as it looks. If you are committed to doing at least a little bit of research and education, it is not as hard as it looks. And number two, the benefits are like outweigh anything else right now. And women are constantly looking for passive income, with MLMs or, all these side hustles that I heard, and all these side hustles that women do. Why not get into something that you can invest a little bit of time in to get an education and learn how to make passive income on the side? For me, that's the most important thing. I've seen a lot of women struggle a lot. My mom ended up being a single mom after a while. And I've seen a lot of women like that, and it just is a passion of mine to let women know that this doesn't, you don't have to be a math whiz, you don't have to be a finance whiz, you have to be someone who has a little bit of time and can do a little bit of research and get into good projects. And if you do that, even if you don't trade and you just hold, there's a really good chance you're going to make out really well here.
Yeah, I mean, we say it all the time. Like we've been shouting it from the rooftop for the last 5 years within me and my own friend group. Me and Crypto Cuzzy, we've been lifelong friends, and even within our group chat, like we hear it all the time. Like, here's the crypto. Once we start sending YouTube videos and links, all crickets in the group chat. So, like you said, like it is absolutely early, and hopefully that. I think one of the reasons that I started to I guess come online was because I must have talked to 300 people, you know what I'm saying, in the last couple of years, just trying to explain, and on the count of my hands, how many people listen to me. So
that's what I'm saying.
It's like I feel like I'm kind of speaking to people who are interested in it, and they have this. They're questioning what is the next 5 years looks like. Yeah. So it's funny, like you're talking to almost strangers online instead of your own friend groups, but these are the people that ultimately are taking the shot at this opportunity.
Yeah. And I think even friends, like, you know, some of it's so funny because I joked about this on the show, but you know, for 4 years, I've been like the laughing stock of like this vacation that we went to, right? Like, because every time I go to this vacation, you know, like one of his cousins is a very big head of one of the largest private equity firms in the U.S. And then the other one runs she runs Red Bull's marketing agency. Wow. And so every year it's like, you invest in that crap. Like, what are you doing? Like, you're such a joke. This year it was hours of conversations about AI and crypto, and I was loving every minute of it. And that's the thing is like, this is the problem with the space, right? Until it hits, people aren't interested in it. But when they're interested in it, we're already almost done, right? With this cycle. And then they have to hold through an entire next cycle to do it. And you know what? That's everyone's journey. And to be honest, I'm telling people right now, if you aren't planning to hold for another 4 years or another full cycle, just wait until the bottom of the bear market. Don't get in now. And I'm not saying no one should get in now. I'm just saying if you don't want to be patient, don't get in now, because patience is a part of this game that not a lot of people talk about.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, like I remember seeing all these memes like during Thanksgiving, like when you come out from your room and your whole family's like, "How's your Chuck E. Cheese money doing?" You know, and then it's like finally when you're in like the the up cycle, everyone's like, "So what's going on? What are you buying? What should I do?"
So how's crypto going? You know, and to be honest, like I'm a little bit shocked that people aren't that there isn't more like excitement in the market. The fact that in an asset that was I bought my Bitcoin at the almost the bottom of the bear. I have one Bitcoin, by the way, that I bought at 19.8, right? And the fact that people saw what this was at last year at this time and aren't noticing that this is where we're at is crazy to me.
Yeah, like even like the psychological number of Bitcoin hitting 100,000.
100K, right? 100K. It's like, dude, last cycle, like there were so many dreams last cycle that are coming true now, right? Like how long have you been in?
I got in 2020, and then I guess I really started to jump in around 2021.
Okay, so same time frame, pretty much. So like back then, could you ever think that we were going to have like a pro crypto administration that would be pushing it like that? Like that was like not even in my purview at all.
I'm not even sure that when I had gotten in, I really even understood the scale of institutional adoption or even like governmental adoption. I was almost kind of, when I first got in, I was almost treating it the same way that I was my stock investing.
Yeah,
kind of treating it like stocks. Once I really started to research into it, I think I've always had the foresight that institutions were coming. It was just based on regulation. So I based a majority of my own research on kind of following what TradFi was doing or what the banks and governments. But no, when I first got in, I didn't know nothing.
Yeah. And I think that's where we all had to start. What's crazy is like back then, like right now, we have like this kind of stuff, right? all we had back then was like YouTubers. Like you had YouTube and you had Reddit, and Twitter was like, I'm totally aging myself with the Twitter thing, but like X, you know, that wasn't even like where most of the people were. It was like Reddit. And you would have to like scroll down like 15 pages to figure out something and then like put a question in there, and like 8 days later someone would answer. Like this was not the type of community or information or education that we had at all. I wish we did, because I would have learned a whole lot faster.
And it was so hard to, I guess, research at that time, because now we're sitting in a day and age where news is coming out within 6 weeks, where it would have taken you 6 months back. You know what I'm saying? Like the news is just coming out. It's almost really kind of difficult to keep up with all of it.
It's difficult, and I think the market is, is more manipulated. Some people will agree with me, some people won't. But to be honest, I the way that the market is moving, not just now, but in the past year or so, is just it's acting like a different market. And so, I think the news, because there is pro crypto administration, because there is so much news about crypto and what's going on, I think it really is moving the markets a lot more than it used to. At times not, but things that maybe shouldn't be moving the market are. And then we've got the ETFs, and the ETFs are fueling a different market movement as well. And I think, it's definitely a time of transition for this space, for sure.
I think the ETFs were that first foot in the door for institutional adoption.
Yeah.
And it's almost exciting to see the institutions almost have a sense of FOMO.
Yeah, absolutely. And we joke on our show all the time about whether I think there's going to be a super cycle, right? And that's actually why. And I've said this before, but the reason why I believe that there could be a super cycle, I'm not saying there's going to be, that there could be, is because institutional FOMO, if it is what I think it's going to be, may cause institutions to buy at bull market prices. And if they do buy at bull market prices, that lifts the floor and then causes another retail FOMO. And so that's what I'm going off of. I know I've explained this in a couple, but I don't want people to think that I'm just like, haphazardly calling for a super cycle or $250,000 Bitcoin. I'm not. What I'm saying is, if by chance we do get clarity and regulation, there is a good chance that some of the institutions that are sitting on the side waiting for policy and procedure to come in play so that they can get in, those institutions will now buy in, and they're going to have to buy in at whatever price there is. They're not going to wait through the entire bear market to compete with their competitors. And if they do that, we're lifting now the floor price, which lifts all of the other market and causes another retail FOMO to happen, which is why I think there could be a super cycle and why we could be in for a long run.
I'm with you on that. I mean, institutional jumping in at regardless of the price creates a supply shock, but it's also pumping massive liquidity that sometimes retail may or may not be able to throw in. I mean, I believe that once full mass institutional adoption is here, they'll bring the market cap from 4 trillion to 20 trillion to 50 trillion. I think it's really only the institutions and the banks, the governments, that will be able to pump that much liquidity to get that $50 trillion market cap. My perspective on what is to happen, I do agree with you. I do think that regulations is the catalyst for institutional adoption. Once they do come in, yes, the ETFs, they'll buy massive amount of the supply, they're pumping liquidity in. But once mass institutional adoption is there with the regulations, I believe that your utility assets are not going to follow that 4-year cycle, because to me, that doesn't make sense. If you have a bank or whatever institution utilizing whatever blockchain, whether that's for smart contracts or payments, whatever the case is, if they have that consistent utility, that consistent demand for it, I don't see why these utility assets would follow that speculative 4-year cycle. So I kind of believe that once full institutional adoption is there, you'll start to see a God green candle. And then once that 24-hour volume is consistent because they're utilizing the technology every single day, it'll be like almost like a slowing up to the right. I think ultimately at some point, maybe, just maybe, this market will kind of look very similar to how the stock market performs.
Yeah. So, and I think that that's what people are afraid of, right? When we talk about centralization, and people's fear about that in the crypto space, right? And I'll quote Cosmic here. You know, he always says like people don't care about centralization or decentralization, and I don't think they do as much as making money, right? But I think that we are at a turning point where, like you said, I agree with that. I think that there are some utility projects that if they are utilizing them like they're supposed to and like they want to, and the money is in a steady flow in, it could very much turn into looking very similar to the stock market. And again, I'll quote Cosmic. It's going to kill me if I don't. But when you take speculation out of a speculative asset, that's when things level out, right? And that is completely true. And I think, you know, we're very lucky because we're early. I don't know how you feel about how many cycles we have left that have a big return like we have had the past couple of cycles, right? I don't think we have that many left before things do level out, and we're not seeing the type of returns as we've seen in these last couple of cycles.
Yeah, my theory is, currently, and based off of the past cycles where we've lived in a speculative market, right? Bitcoin to some degree is a speculative asset. It's affected by interest rates, speculation of war, elections, things like that. Bitcoin alters everything else in the market. But I think my theory is that we're transitioning out of a speculative market into a utility market.
Yeah.
And these institutions, once they start to adopt certain utility projects, I don't see them having that 4-year cycle.
No, and I think one of the things that that is going to change too is like with clarity and regulation. One of the things is it's going to wipe a lot of the crap out of the market.
Yes.
Because, right, especially in the U.S. Like it may not wipe everything out globally because we can't. Right, with crypto is a global space. We can't ban everything crypto. We can't ban certain things. We can only ban things that are actually starting and growing within the United States. But what it's going to do is it's going to allow people to it's going to allow the companies that are legit, whether they're meme coins, whether they're utility coins, whether they're gaming, like whatever it is, it will allow the legit companies to thrive while the crap settles at the bottom. And the crap is going to settle at the bottom because regulation and clarity, what it's going to do is cause them to have to, number one, dox themselves. Number two, have a actual company formed, which most of these companies don't have, or most of these projects don't have. So that's going to wipe them out to begin with. And I think that's going to be really, really good for the crypto space. Again, it's going to level out everything because now you don't have this volatility going back and forth with these small projects that are rugging people, but it's really good for the space.
Yeah, I mean, and you're even seeing it with the MiCA regulations in the EU. You know what I'm saying? When the projects are kind of getting pushed out, they get delisted from exchanges. Yeah. And I try to bait, and because I have this theory that we are shifting into utility and regulations exactly will kind of push everything to the bottom of the sea, I try to prioritize my education to people to, not that meme coins are bad. I think you can make a ton of money on meme coins as long as you're consistent with the hype of the speculation in the communities. But I try to push people to focus on utility because you want to invest in a coin that's going to survive the 10, 15, 20 years.
Sure.
And I think that when regulations do come, a lot of these people that maybe are holding speculative assets, when you start to see things start to get delisted from exchanges, then, I think it's just a means for people to get hurt again in this market because they invested into the wrong thing.
Yeah. And like, there's a very big difference between, the meme market last cycle and the meme market this cycle, right? The meme market last cycle was very based on, and obviously there's always been rug pulls, guys. There's always been rug pulls. There's always been bad actors. There are way more in this space than there has ever been. And what has happened from the pump fund era this past year is that anyone who wanted to launch a coin could launch a coin with a name and one Solana, right? And when you do that, you open the doors for a lot of bad actors to come in and rinse and repeat. And that's what they were doing. And not only just bad actors, meaning bad acting people. There were a lot of VC firms that people don't notice were behind these meme coins, right? So they're going in, they're investing in these small memes. They're blowing them up, which is, and I have my own project. I don't talk about it that much. But what I know from that is that it takes a lot of money to get a project to a $50-100 million market cap. That is not one person throwing a meme on a thing and it just getting popular. That's not how it works. They push that meme. The venture capitalists put a lot of money into it. They push that meme until it gets to a certain point and then they pull it. And when they pull it, then they make some excuse of why it rugged, and then they start the whole process over again. And that's what was happening a lot more this cycle than last cycle, right? Last cycle, there were groups of people, but they were devs that were trying to form a community, right? And a lot of those became larger cap memes. And those are the ones that are safer, I would say, not financial advice, but safer to invest in, right? You want to invest in a meme, invest in Brett, or again, not financial advice, or Pepe, or one of the ones that has backing behind it, has credibility and has history. But a lot of people don't realize that those memes aren't just like started by, you know, a random person who thought something was funny and threw that up. It started by a group of people who went to a VC firm and asked them for money to push this meme so that they could all make money on it. And so they could use you as exit liquidity.
That's so interesting, and I think you absolutely hit it on the nail. As this market continues to grow, more users is more liquidity. That means more bad actors, and I think it's more important now than ever to try to teach people what are the proper ways to store your assets, what are the proper people to be listening to. I think that the scams are probably going to get worse until they get better, and maybe the AML, the KYC, maybe that does ease it up a little bit. But I think that as long as people continue to educate themselves, that's really the only best way that you can prevent these bad actors from obtaining access to your funds.
Yeah, and I mean that's why there's a guy in our community, B Rose. He may even be in here, but he's a meme coin trader, right? And the one thing that I like about him, and I said this on the show today, that he will say, like, if you don't know your stuff, don't know how to do it, and you're a beginner, stay out of it. These guys are highly trained and educated to find and have tools to help them find what the next meme is and when it's going to pump, right? So I don't go into that area and think I'm going to throw money in and trade memes. And I've been trading for 2.5 years and I still don't know everything, but I still wouldn't put myself in that area because I don't know that area. So it's better off if you're a beginner to be honest, the best thing to do is to DCA and hold and learn how to buy when it's red and sell when it's green. That's like the best case scenario. If you want to learn how to trade after that, do it. That's what I did. I bought, DCA'd, held for 2.5 years before I even thought about trading, and then I immersed myself in trading and taught myself trading. So if you want to do it, you have to invest the time and the effort. If you don't want to invest the time and the effort, then don't get into it.
Would that advice bleed into maybe the women who feel hesitant to enter crypto because it seems too technical or too risky or it's just not for them? Would you give that same advice to the women that are entering the space?
Yeah, I mean, I think the advice goes to both, right? I think I don't think that, and I think that the crypto space sells a really good game sometimes, and that good game is you will get rich overnight. Thanks, B-Rose. You will get rich overnight, right? And if you don't get rich overnight buying a meme coin and just holding, then you'll definitely get rich if you start leverage trading. And that is like the biggest lie in the entire world, right? And for me, I was interested in leverage trading. Like I said, I watched Crypto Lifer as one of the big guys that I learned from. Frankie Candles was another one. He was on BitBoy's channel for a long time. They're both really good traders, and I learned some of my strategy from them. The one thing that I tell people is leverage. Thank you so much, a little bit. The one thing that I tell people is if you're going to trade spot or trade paper first. I traded paper for a really long time before I touched real money at all in leverage trading. If you do not have discipline, there is no way you're going to be a good trader. None. That is the first and most important thing in trading, right? Is to manage your risk and protect your capital. If you are not willing to do that, then you're not willing to take the time and discipline to be a good trader.
I'm so glad that you said discipline, because I'm going to bleed us into our next topic, which is mindset growth and personal development. So I want to focus on your mindset
Yeah.
as well as your personal development. And we both wear many hats. We're both business owners, investors, educators. I'm sure that we share a lot of other things that maybe most people don't know. But what are your daily habits or your routines that have helped you stay focused and consistent, both in crypto and in your own personal endeavors?
I knew this question was coming because I saw it on the list, but I'll tell you, I don't have a lot of them. I don't have a lot of them. I'm really good at multitasking. I'm really good at starting. My weakness is finishing what I start, right? So, but my strength is to find people who know how to finish better than I do. And so I have an unbelievable assistant who's been with me for 11 years. And she started off as our nanny when I went back to work when my first son was a month old. Because I had just started my business and the pregnancy came quicker than I thought it was going to come. So I wanted to make sure that my business didn't fail. So I went back to work pretty early. And she has been a godsend, right? And so my kids are now 12 and 8. And she has been with us for 12 years. Sorry, I said 11, 12 years. And she now manages she's now my personal assistant. So she doesn't really take care of the kids anymore. She handles all of my scheduling, all of the kids, school stuff. So I will say that if your strength isn't organizing and being routine, find someone who is and rely on them. And I get up every morning. I mean, my kids are up at 5, right? So I get up usually around 5, between 5 and 6. Now I have the trading course at 8 a.m. So I teach trading every day in the Wolf Pack, which is an off TikTok group that I'm in with Cosmic and Maddie and Dave Roscoe. And I teach trading in there every day at 8. And then I do one-on-ones too. So we have some people doing one-on-ones. It's not really a mentorship. It's just trying to get them to a point where they feel comfortable. And I'm more focused on teaching how to read charts than leverage trading at this point, and that moves into that. But as far as I exercise. I don't know. I'm not, to be honest, I'm not super routine.
I think that maybe that sense of discipline and hunger kind of just some people are born with it and some people aren't.
Yeah, I am very disciplined. Okay, so I will say this. I think it's my ADHD. I am very disciplined in things that I want to do. So if I want to learn crypto, I am going to bed at night watching YouTube videos about crypto. I'm waking up in the morning watching YouTube videos about crypto. I'm doing multitasking at work while listening to a crypto podcast. So when I'm determined and when I like something, I'm extremely disciplined. If I don't, I may drop off.
No, I'm with you on that. I grew up with ADHD all my life, and I kind of view it as a superpower. I went from that kid in the classroom that was drooling outside of the window, practically almost licking the window, to deep dive researching on my commutes, almost throughout the entire day. If it's something that I'm interested in, I'm all in.
Yeah, and I wish sometimes I think my schedule doesn't allow for a lot of discipline, right? And so my schedule, I'm always doing about, I don't even know how many things I'm doing now, 4, 5, and I'm always doing that many things. So it's really, really hard to kind of move things at the same pace all the time. So I need to be flexible. And I think that's why I am not so disciplined. Thanks, Cosmic. So yeah, I am disciplined in one way, but then in not others. My husband's in the chat right now, and he says I'm doing a dozen things. So,
do you ever find it difficult to balance that your professional life with your own personal life, whether that's family or exercising? Do you find that you kind of sacrifice one or the other? So, how do you deal with that?
I have to check myself a lot, right? And I have, and my husband is wonderful, right? And so he's just like a support guy, when you're an ADHD person and you're constantly thinking of something new, he just plays along. He's like, all right, so what is it today? What are we starting today? And how much money is it going to be? He's just such a supporting person. And I think it takes that type of person to be with someone like one of us, right? You need somebody who's supportive, who's stable, who is very rational and not so dreamy, and someone that can back you, right? And that's what he does. So when it gets too much and I get overwhelmed and I'm doing too many things, it's either him that checks me or it's myself. And usually I'll try to figure out and rebalance myself at that point.
That was a crazy comment, a normie husband. I think that your partner, providing support, but also I think that there's no doubt that ties to a person's success. Ultimately, I think that that's almost the umbrella to everything else below you, whether that's your children, your businesses. As long as you have a partner that does support you, I think that everything else ties to that success.
Yeah.
So shout out to normie husband. That was
Eric.
one of the weirdest comments I've seen. And he made it. And Cosmic made a video too. And I looked at that. I said, normie wife?
Normie husband, normie wife. They're just not into crypto. It's funny because he's listened to me do this for, like I said, 6 years, right? And he's a prepper, right? So I would have thought, like, when I got into it, I would have thought, hey, like, he's going to eat this up, right? Because this crypto is like goes pretty along with prepping, but like he wasn't really into it. Now he knows all the lingo, but he understands the value of it. But he still listens to me talk about it all the time. So it's probably super annoying. I don't know. Who knows?
How has being an educator shaped your mindset, discipline, and your own personal growth? Have you ever educated before besides deciding to come online?
No, not like in a traditional way, right? I've owned a business, so I've educated people that have worked for me. Or I've educated companies or clients that I have through my business. But I've never done it in this kind of platform at all. And to be honest, one of the things that is funny about me is before starting my podcast, I was like the shyest person that you would ever meet. I hated pictures being taken of me. I hated talking in front of a camera. I hated being on camera. I think the podcast really changed that for me. And then being on X was like a good stepping stone to this, because X, you're not showing, oh, thank you so much, Crypto Cousin. You're not showing your face, right? A lot of the time. And so that was like a stepping stone for me. And so to be here and be doing this is like completely out of my comfort zone. And one of the quotes that got me there was, I forget who said it first, but Chris Williamson, I don't know if you ever watched any of his stuff, but he said, the magic that you're seeking is you'll find in the things that you avoid doing. And I love that quote, because I feel like I was always avoiding a piece of my character and personality that I was afraid of or insecure of. And crypto has brought that out, which is really cool and nice, right? But as far as educating goes, I think what being in this seat has given me is a different perspective than I think a lot of people think people want to hear about crypto. When I was thinking about talking to people about crypto 2 years ago, one of the things that I thought is, I'm going to tell them everything I know. I'm going to get out the books. We're going to talk about the fundamentals of blockchain. We're going to go through, all the sectors of the crypto space, and they're going to learn everything just like I learned it. The thing that I've learned being here is that most people either want things in a bite-sized piece, or they want you to tell them the gist of whatever you think are good projects for them to get into. And although we're not financial advisors, a lot of the time what happens is, because they don't know how to research or how to look up these projects, we have to be really careful in giving them projects that are actually utility based, right? And I know I'm not against anyone talking about meme coins or anything like that, but when new people are in the room, we need to take a step back and realize where we were as a baby crypto learner. And so that's what I've tried to do. That's what I've tried to do with my content, is understand that not everyone who's scrolling on TikTok is going to stop on a blockchain video that explains what blockchain is. They may stop on a trendy video that looks like it's a trendy video that has a crypto message, which is why I do my content the way that I do it, because then I can lead them to this show, or I can lead them to Cosmically Bullish, and they can actually hear what crypto is about. They're not going to get that in 30 seconds. And so I need to just constantly be reminding myself that what I know and the caliber that I know it is not where people are, and we need to meet them where they are.
That is actually such a smart approach to it, because, like you said, how many people are probably on TikTok right now scrolling through lives, decide to actually sit here and learn about, there's a million other things that they could be doing right now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that we do live in a world full of distractions, where whether it's football or Love Island or whatever it is, there's a million other ways that you could distract yourself, even being on TikTok, watching, brain rot.
Yep.
But the fact that night after night after night, people do come in here and people do want to learn, but the average person, they have that 3 second, that microwave mentality. It's that 3 second attention span. So I love that you figured out a way to kind of pin them and just plant the seed, and then maybe they can start to ask them, because the first step of it is asking themselves, like how do I make money in my sleep? And then it's jumping from here to here to here to here, and then before you know it, they're watching a 2-hour live.
Exactly. And to be honest, like that's how I got in. It was like breadcrumbs, right? Like Sean, who is our neighbor, who got me into this, he, dropped breadcrumbs, and I would pick them up a little bit at a time. I mean, over a year, right? Of like him coming over and being like, hey, and the thing is that he bought it so early, and he was entrenched in it. And you could tell he was holding himself back from trying to tell me everything he knew. And so I go back and I remember that, and I'm like, you know what? That was a really smart way to do it. Like, he didn't tell me everything at one time. He knew that I would oh, thank you so much, Jesus. He knew that I would probably, because of who I am and what I like to do and talk about, I think he knew I may be interested in it eventually, but he didn't need to tell me everything up front. And I think that we so often, because I think that this space is, and don't take this offensively, but is very filled with neurodivergent people, right? We all think that what we have to say is the most important thing out there. And we want to tell everyone everything. And sometimes that just doesn't click, especially in TikTok videos. If you're scrolling through and you're seeing a whole bunch of fun stuff, are you stopping on a TikTok video that explains something for a half an hour to you? No. Yeah. And so people will be like, oh my God, what is this content? It's content to get new people in here. It's content to leave a breadcrumb so that if they see my content and think it's funny, that they'll see my story later and it'll say Cosmically Bullish every day at 3:30, and they'll come into that. That's what I'm doing.
I love that approach, and I think that that is the right way to go about it. Do you typically find that most people that are listening to you are in their 20s, 30s, or most people in their 40s, 50s, 60s?
Cosmic can answer this. We just looked at our analytics the other day. It's mostly men 45 to 55.
Yeah, it's the same with me.
Yeah. So, and to be honest, like that's the thing, right? I'm 43, so I'm right in that demographic. But and the crypto space is male, so I would expect that, right? Which is why we need more women in here. We need more women in here for a well-balanced space. Number one, we need more women in here so that, I don't think what people understand is that women are now, this isn't, 15, 20 years ago. Women are now starting their career and building up their career before they have kids. That's why a lot of, that's why the population is weaning a little bit. There's less babies, right? Because women, I think there's a lot of reasons, but one of them is women are finding out that they need to do something for themselves before they depend on somebody else.
I would agree with you.
Yeah. And so what people don't understand about capturing that market, and I will remind me to tell you something about the Bitcoin conference too. What they don't understand about capturing that market is that women have almost just as much expendable income as men right now. And if we don't have women in this space, you are missing a huge amount of market share. And I think that at first it was a very male centric space. But I think now we are, I think now it's broader. I think the communities are more inclusive. So it's more, it's more feminine friendly. And I think when there's more creators, and this is not like a pat on the back, but when there's more creators like me that are just like in everyday normal, like I'm a businesswoman, I'm a mom. When people see a reflection of themselves in somebody, that's who they like to follow, right? And if we don't have that in the crypto space, and there's no way that market, that piece of the market that's missing is going to come into the space.
Yeah, I think that maybe that's probably why. I mean, I'm 26, so maybe that's why a majority of my friend group that they're not interested into it, because I'm sitting here talking about cross-border payments and central bank digital currencies. They're like, dude, just shut up. The UFC fight's about to come on.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why you're starting to see people in their 40s, 50s, and 60s, because when you start talking about traditional finance and interest rates and stuff, this is kind of what affects them now.
Right.
And I say this even to my friends, and I'm sure it applies to women more than it does men, but even for my friends, like I try to, when you start talking about like getting involved into this ecosystem, not only is it investing and researching a project, but it's starting to develop financial literacy. Yeah. And it can go anywhere from budgeting to like really just, I guess budgeting is probably one of the biggest ones. So like I'll go to my friend's house and I'll go into his room and I'll look around and he's got $15,000 of shit on his computer. And I'm like, what are you spending your money on that you're telling me you don't have any money to invest? So I think like at least for me, like I'll wear jeans from high school. Yeah. Like, I'm really not a consumer. I don't want the Lamborghini when, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm not a materialistic guy. I'm definitely not a consumer. And I think that I believe that's probably why you sell fashion, because women are a majority of the commerce engagers with it.
So what's funny is I am, and again, my husband's in here, so I can't lie. I'm like a really frugal person, and I feel like the more I get into this space in this community, that is, like I said, there's a lot of characteristics of us that are in here, right? We're not all the same, but I feel like a lot of us are similar. And I'm like, even though I've been in fashion for years, you couldn't pay me to buy something at full price ever. And it's because I know the margin markup, right? The margin markup is on a t-shirt is probably like, 275%.
Imagine that.
More than that. And right. And not only, we're fooled in every aspect in our life. In fashion, what shocked me was when I first got in fashion and realized that like Calvin Klein doesn't really design the clothing. So you're wearing something that says Calvin Klein on it, and a whole bunch of other associate designers are designing it for them. So I'm super frugal in everyday life, and I feel the same way that you do when I look at people that are spending money. When I talk in Cosmically Bullish about people that buy the Lambo and have the Lambo like in the back, I'm like, dude, I would just rent that thing for a couple of days if I wanted to drive it, or rent a yacht for a weekend. Why are you buying a yacht and wasting that money? Like that, it just doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand it.
Liabilities and assets, good debt, bad debt.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me. And I think a lot of the crypto space did a really, I think this cycle, it's a little bit better, but last cycle, they did a really bad job of showing the really inflated side of crypto, right? What'd you say?
Can you explain that?
Yeah, so like, there were a lot of content creators out there that people were following, massive amounts of people were following, that were just showing their lifestyle from crypto. And I think there's a real danger to that, right? And the danger to that is, number one, and this is why I'm very careful in making blanket statements. Number one, I don't show my trades, and I don't show my percentage that I make. And I know a lot of traders will kind of, look down on that or whatever. BitBoy, yeah, and we'll look down on that or whatever. The reason why I don't do that is I'll show like my entry points and my exit points and my targets and stuff like that, but I won't show my actual trades. And it's because I don't want anyone to ever feel like they have to come up to my level to do what I do, right? Or to, oh, thank you so much, OG. Or to trade the amount of money that I trade, right? Or to make the percentage that I make. Because as creators, we have to be really careful of not putting everyone in the same box, right? What you do with your money or what I do with mine, I had somebody, I'm not on my medication right now, so if I'm jumping all over the place, that's why. I had someone in my comments yesterday say, listen, I've been investing in XRP for a long time. I've been holding, but I thought it was going to pop by now. And I need some money. And what should I do? Should I borrow against it? Should I sell it? And I said, only you can answer that question. And to be honest, I don't want to tell anyone to do something that is detrimental to their lifestyle, right? We should never be investing money and keeping it in an investment. Sometimes we invest money and then we need it later. That's fine. Thank you so much, B Rose. But we should never be telling people to keep their money in something when they need it. Because the fact of the matter is, if you really need it, then it's more important in that circumstance than in crypto. And so I'm really careful to make sure that I don't kind of glass over everyone under the same lens, right? Because we're not under the same lens, and we need to be aware. Someone said like we need to always check our privilege, right? And we do. We need to believe that people aren't in the same place as everyone else all the time. So that's what I try to do.
Yeah, maybe there's a lesson in there for me, because I kind of come from this perspective of I don't know, I guess like suffering, you know what I'm saying? Suffering to some degree, and learn how to enjoy the pain, because that's where you're going to learn your most lessons. There is no room for growth in that comfort zone. So maybe I have been a little bit. Maybe I push people to kind of approach things the way that I have, where it's like, listen, like there were times, in the last couple of years where I was putting so much of my own income into this market where, I'm like, I'm not eating, or I'm taking, I'm making lunch, I'm going to work, I'm jumping turnstiles, I'm like running from the conductor on the train. You know what I'm saying? Like I had this goal of putting as much as I could into this, and it definitely affected my day to day, and ultimately it's probably where I am because of those sacrifices. But it definitely wasn't enjoyable, and not that I expect anyone to kind of suffer to achieve their goals, but there definitely has to be a blend of doing the opposite of what the 99% of the population does. 99% of the population, they want to live in comfort. They go to work, they think that their 40 hours is enough for them. They get to come home and they get to go on Netflix, and that's it. And that maybe, just maybe, they're going to get somewhere. And I kind of try to challenge that idea, where I'm like, your 40 hours is not enough anymore. You have to come home and you have to work. You have to do those 16-hour days. You're going to have to take care of your body. You're going to have to go to the gym. So I try to approach, at least within our own community, of this: push yourself to what you can accept, because if you do settle for that comfort zone, you're not going to get to where you think you should be in 5 years. But also don't overestimate what you could do in 1 year and underestimate what you could achieve in 5 years.
Yeah. And I think, I think that there is definitely a lesson in that. I think you're also, I think you said you're 26, right? You're also in a generation that I feel like you're ahead of a lot of people in your generation, right? There's an air of comfort, and doing what I want to do and not caring about, this or that, or having stability, or, having commitment, or I think things are changing a little bit. And so there is something to be said, and there's a lesson to be learned about being uncomfortable. And it's okay to be uncomfortable. But I think one of the things we need to realize is sometimes people hear from us that diamond handing is everything, right? And we have to also have a caveat in there, which is if you need it for food or if you need it for your family, that is an okay thing to do, right?
Oh, yeah.
And that you can get back in, and that this isn't the last time this is ever going to happen, and this isn't the last opportunity that you're ever going to have. And we need to make sure that people understand that, so that they don't come in and feel like if they don't do it now, or if they take something out, that it's going to be, it's going to ruin their whole life. Like, look at all these people that have held XRP for this long, right? And I just said this to Cosmic today. Like, what if, we were joking. I don't think this at all, guys, but like, what if XRP has stopped? Like, I can't imagine what these people that have diamond handed forever. Thank you guys for all the gifts. If I miss any, I'm so sorry. I'm trying not to pay attention to the chat or anything else right now and just talk. But I appreciate all you guys, but but I can't imagine, none of us know really where this market is going to go. And so to tell people that they have to hold until, their hands are bones is probably not a great thing to do.
I don't want to out the person, but I did have somebody within our community who was going through a very difficult time in their life, and they're like, my house just burned down, and I don't know what to do. I have this bag, this cushion, and I don't want to tap into it. And basically, well, he was asking advice, and really the only thing that we could say is that's kind of your decision. Like,
yeah.
How, like, that's to the most extreme. Like, how uncomfortable do you really want to be?
Yeah.
You've had a very successful year. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't hurt for you to take care of something as important as your living situation. So I think it is situational. But
yeah,
I mean, yeah, like you said, like, check your privilege. There are people that are going through things that you can never imagine.
Yeah, and I think and I think that part of it is also like, if they get in this mindset of diamond handing is the only thing they can do, right? It also kind of deters them from taking profit sometimes. And I know that not everyone wants to take profit at certain times or whatever, but it also, there are some projects, if you're in utility, most likely the good utility projects and the strong ones and the foundational ones, they're going to do well over time. However, there are some like rotational projects, right? Especially number one, especially if you're like in any kind of meme or community token. If you're not taking profit during that cycle, like, don't be surprised if you get to the next cycle and that thing is dead and doesn't go back up to its previous all-time high. And so when we instill that in some people, that diamond handing, it can be detrimental to their profit taking. And I don't ever want to be that, because I am someone who is constantly saying, take profit. If you don't take profit, the money is not yours. It's only on paper.
Absolutely. So that's actually going to lead us into our next jumping point, which is trading, business, and long-term vision. So as you guys know, I tend to be a long-term investor, researching, trying to find undervalued projects and staying disciplined enough to try to realize the gain in that. And I know that you have long-term positions as well as short-term plays. So can you share how you approach that balance and what drives those decisions?
Sure. So my long-term bags are very different than they were last cycle. Last cycle, it was, first of all, I had so much more time to do research on new projects. So I was doing what you're saying you're doing too, finding undervalued projects, maybe in narratives that aren't talked about right now. I talk about, gaming as one of those right now. We haven't really had a gaming narrative yet. And I think that probably is going to be one, not financial advice, but I was constantly looking for projects that were undervalued or under talked about, but they were good projects that we're building. My long-term holds right now are mostly utility. I still have a lot of SHIB left. That was one of the things that I didn't take enough profit on that I wish I did take more. I do have some other memes, but most of them are strong utility projects. HBAR, Algo. I do have some Chainlink left. I just bought Tezos, XRP, obviously, Bitcoin, Ethereum. So I do have a lot of long-term plays. I only trade with 5% of my portfolio. That's it. At any given time, I'm very disciplined. I don't go over that. The reason for that, I don't know which trader said that to me, but it just always stuck with me. And I don't use my entire trading portfolio to trade on a trade, right? So if I'm using 5%, I'll use a very small portion of that to use in a trade. And the reason why I use leverage now, which I didn't at first, is that it's actually, if you know how to utilize it, it's a lot of people think it's gambling, but it's not. If you know how to utilize it, it's actually protecting your capital more than you think, right? If you are not going in, and I have people in my trading group who are very good at taking scalps on 100x leverage. I am not that person at all. And anyone in my trading group will tell me this. They hide from me when they don't have a stop loss in in their trade because they know that I'm going to be on them about it. And so I trade on mostly, I will say like probably 7 to 15 on an average is what I trade leverage. I will go up to 33. The reason for that is at 25x leverage, you're like a sitting duck for the market makers. So anything 25 and up, you are usually a sitting duck for getting wicked out. So I try to stay under that at all times. I also use, like I said, a small amount of my capital. All I'm looking to do is I'm looking to multiply that capital that I have in that 5%. That's it. I'm not looking for a big gain. And in this market, you can't always look for a big gain because if you do, you most likely will get stopped out. And so the bulk of my crypto holding is in long term. And I use trading to multiply and to put it into either new projects. And I will take profit off of that sometimes. I don't leave it all in trading. If I make a good trade and it comes out, I'll put it into something else. But trading I have done well with it. And I think the best thing that's come out of it is that I'm learning to teach other people how to do it and to multiply their bags too. Why wouldn't you want to if you could?
Yeah, I think that that's such a strong strategy. And ultimately, I think that people tend to be either all on one side or all on the other. So the fact that you have some sense of risk management is important. Like people say, it is gambling. And me personally, you could say that it is, but me personally, I'm a gambler. I like poker, but the type of gambling that I do, I'm like a probability, a statistic, a math-based type of gambling. I don't do horse racing or sports betting. Maybe even sports betting might even be probability or statistical. But especially with the market, I think that it's more of a probability. You could do your research. You could do your homework. You could wake up tomorrow, and to some degree, you could kind of have a sense of what tomorrow or what next year or what the next 5 years could react in that sense. Technical analysis is probably one of the best ways for you to have that sense of like discipline and education to propel yourself to not kind of have those bad days. So what do you rely on? Do you relying on like indicators or any type of patterns? Anything like that?
Yeah. So one thing I'll say is discipline is key, right? And technical analysis. I think that leverage trading is only really gambling if you don't know how to read the charts. And I'm not saying that I get it right every time. You guys have seen me make wrong calls, right? And I'm going to. The thing about trading is probability, right? You have small losses, big gains. And you have small losses because you use a stop loss and you risk manage. And if you don't do that, then it is gambling. And I just forgot the question do I use indicators? Here we go. So if you're in my trading group, you will know that I only rely on two things. I rely on, or three. I rely on chart patterns. I look at the stochastics and I use the moving averages, and that's it. And the reason why I don't there are so many fancy indicators out there, and there are so many, Jay Dan, I'm not saying he uses fancy indicators. What I'm going to say is he knows everything about trading. He knows all about Wyckoff. I was just talking to Cosmic about this today. He knows all about Wyckoff, all about Bollinger Bands, all about, the cycles and the ABC corrections. And those are things that I need to learn more about. When I have indicators on my chart, it actually clouds my mind. I think my superpower for some reason is seeing patterns and then being able to go on higher time frames and see the big move on a higher time frame and then trade within that on a lower time frame. So if you're in my trading group, I always start off on the daily. I go to the 4 hour, then the 1 hour. My patterns are drawn for years. So I never get rid of my patterns, which is why my charts look messy, because I always want to see where support and resistance is. And if I get rid of those, then I don't have any reference. And so people in my trading group, we got this, there was an indicator in there that was pretty accurate. The problem that people don't understand about indicators and trading bots is this. Indicators only work as good as the person who is working them, right? And if you are relying on an indicator that tells you to buy, and then you click buy and you walk away from that trade, there is no way that is going to do anything for you. If you don't use a stop loss and you don't know where your take profit is, how are you going to get out of that trade? Even if the indicator tells you to buy, how are you getting out of that trade? And as far as trading bots go, I know that there can be some that can be very accurate. However, again, trading bots, they work on an algorithm. And that algorithm, just like me or just like you, is wrong a lot of the time, right? And so what happens is it will take history into account, and it will take movement and chart patterns and whatever else you can load in there, and it will take all of that into account. But unless you have eyes on that trade when the market is dumping, how are you getting out? And so for me, you are either an active trader or you're an inactive trader. And if you're an inactive trader, you better get used to losing a lot more than winning, is my opinion. And there will be people in here that disagree with me, but I tell people, I don't want you to copy trade me, which is why I don't usually show my trades. I don't even show my wins. I don't think anyone in my trading group has ever seen a win except for maybe one person that I showed a trade to because he is a partner in there, right? But other than that, I totally just lost where I was going with this. I totally just lost where, indicators. So what I say is do not copy trade me. And the reason why I don't like anyone to copy trade me is because I'm sitting at my desk most of the time monitoring my trades. They don't have my eyes. They're not seeing what I see. So you can copy trade me all day long, but you're not getting out at the same time, and you don't normally have the same take profit that I do, especially because I'm switching my take profit and my chart patterns at all times.
Well, I think that's why it's so difficult to kind of get that across to the people that are listening to you, to me. Like, don't copy what I'm buying. Don't buy. Like if I'm on my live and I'm telling you about QNT, and I'm telling you about all the partnerships and like, I'm buying it. Like, no, don't buy it, because you're not going to get out when I get out. Like, don't ever sit there and say, oh, you made me lose money. It's like, because my strategy is much different than yours. You know what I'm saying?
And I think that people naturally, again, there's a lot of people that come in new, and naturally what they want is they want the quick fix. They want you to tell them.
Just tell me and I'll buy it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to blame you, but when I win, I'm going to show my friends, look.
Bingo. And that's what's so hard, because I don't want, and this is, when Cosmic first learned that I could chart patterns, it wasn't because I told them. I was in a live in the Wolfpack and nobody knew. And I was in a live in the Wolfpack and I saw someone had their chart up, and I saw something and I was like, hey, can I just show you something? And I brought my chart up and I started charting, and I think they were shocked. Like, they were shocked. And the reason why I had never done that before is because I hate the thought of anyone in my community losing money because of a trade that I put on. And it's really hard to get past that. And to be honest, I've had a couple of times where I've kind of doubled back and thought maybe I shouldn't do this. Because it really is hard as a trader to teach people what I know, but in a way that they're going to build their own strategy from it. I don't want them to use my strategy. I never used any other trader's strategy to a T. I took parts of what they did, I added them into my strategy, and that's my strategy. And people need to do exactly what I did, which was build my own strategy from listening to other people.
So for new traders, chart reading can feel so overwhelming. So do you have any simple steps or strategies that you would recommend to someone who's just learning how to read charts with confidence?
Find someone that knows how to do it simply. Um, that is what my advice would be, right? You have to learn from somebody. You can't just chart reading is difficult because you can't just open up like a webinar. I know there are them out there, but you can't just kind of open that up and really understand what they're saying and understand how the different time frames play into different ones, right? So if you can find somebody who can explain it to you in a really simple way at first, like the way that I explain it is I explain kind of one thing at a time, right? Because I don't use that many indicators, it's a little bit easier for people to follow because they don't have to, I know everyone would like a buy and sell signal, but it's a lot easier to follow when you don't have a million indicators on your chart and you're just saying, okay, here's the simple moving average. And this is like one of the things I say in the trading group all the time. The SMA and the smooth moving average are my two guides, right? The number one strategy that I have is when a candle opens decisively over or decisively under the SMA on the 1 hour. When it does that, it's a very good indication that we're headed up or headed down. Now, if you pair that with a chart pattern, and a chart pattern, thank you guys so much. And the chart pattern is an inverted inverted head and shoulders or cup and handle. And the probability of that pattern is to break out. And now you see the pattern, you know how to chart it, and you see the 1 hour candle open decisively over that SMA. Now you have 2 data points that you can use to put a trade on. So I'm not working with 50 data points. I don't want them to find confluences between a million indicators. I want you to have like 3 good ones that when it's check, 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 that's when you open a trade. And that's the only time you open a trade. And like I said in my video this morning, right now, I'm looking for a clear move. Until I see a clear move, I'm not getting in.
What are you? What would be your projections for the next 2 months or so? What are you looking at with Bitcoin? I know that you had said something about Bitcoin jumping below 116. Right?
Yeah, so I think what's funny is like we're sitting right on the line right now, right? So I just looked over at my chart and Bitcoin's sitting at 114, 166. Everything looked like it was headed down. The daily looks like it is rolling over both on the RSI and the stochastics, which is a good sign that we probably have some more downside here. There's also a bear flag on the daily that's building, and we have been in a bull flag. It's a bull flag or a bull pennant, depends on how you draw it. And the only way I can explain it is that we've had a few touch points on the flag that I've drawn, but there's also this one kind of dip that comes down that could be considered part of the pattern if you want to play it that way. But the top trend line is the same. And so we're sitting right at the top trend line right this second. If it doesn't break through decisively 114, like I want to say 5. If it doesn't break through and stay above 114.5 for a good amount of time, I think we're going down. And I think we're going down to, I can take a look at my chart right now. I think we're going down to 112, the 112, 111.8 area. And then if we break that, I think the next bounce point could be around 110.4. And if we break that, it means we've broken an M pattern within the within the bull flag, and we could go down to around 99.6. And what I explained in the Wolf Pack today is that I wouldn't be scared. The time when I would be scared is if we break 86, if we break 86K, I will be scared. Other than, I'd be nervous, not scared, but I'd be nervous. Other than that, on the monthly, there's a very interesting thing happening, and that is that it is starting to respect, it's not starting, it has been for months and months, almost a year, respecting the moving average on the monthly. And we've been flagging out, touching the moving average and continuing up, and flagging out and touching the moving average and continuing up. This next touch, while we're flagging out, could go down to 89K, before going up again on the monthly. And so that's what I'm looking at right now.
Fucking amazing. It's amazing. All mapped out, all figured out. And you know, the people here, they're writing notes. Oh my God, she said 86.
But here's the thing, and I always have to say, and people get mad at me because I don't say like, we're going up or we're going down. In my morning crypto updates that I am trying to be very disciplined in doing at least 11. So I tried to do them before 11, but what's happening is I'd have to do them before the trading class, and that's before the open anyway. So I'm trying to do them at around 11, and they'll come out on my TikTok. I always give a bullish and bearish scenario, and this is why, and it's what I just said to you about trading and copy trading. The market can change on a moment's notice at any time on any time frame. So me telling you that the market, that I have a bearish bias right now because I'm looking at the higher time frames, right? So when I'm telling you that I think we're going down, that's on a higher time frame. In the midst of that, we could start traveling down, we could pop back up, and it could look like we're popping back through the pattern, or we could pop through the pattern. But I have to be watching that at all times to tell you guys what's happening. So I always give the bullish and the bearish, and then I'll say a more bullish bias or a more bearish bias. And that tells you where I'm at that point. But again, that's just for that minute. That's not saying, or it's on a higher time frame, and I'm saying we may be going there in over a week, or in the next couple of days. But other than that, like, I can't just give a direction up or down. I know people would like that, but I can't do that because I have to know that I have to have people think in their minds that they can adapt and switch at any given time. And if you're a trader, you have to have that in you.
Well, I think that's kind of the great thing where you leave it at is like you kind of show them what I'm seeing, and then you say, hey, look, this is the pros, these are the cons. You as your own educated investor, you have to decide for yourself whether or not you agree, if it's going in this direction or that direction.
No, and people will say, well, so you don't have a clue, right? You don't have a clue. It could go up or down. No, that's not what it is. It's that something on the 5 minute, like this happened the other day. Perfect example. I went into the wolf pack in the morning. There was a double bottom on the hourly. Double bottom on the hourly is pretty strong pattern. The probability wise, really good that it's going to break out. So we said, okay, if this, then this. If this breaks out up and over this resistance, then we're headed up. Then I'll change my bias to bullish. If it doesn't, and it rolls over, and that double bottom does not break out, and we can't break that resistance, then we're moving down. And that's how we always have to think about it. It's an if-then statement. You always have to have it.
So they're looking more at your ifs and not necessarily your thens.
Right.
And if your ifs are wrong, then it's bad you, but they're not looking at the half of other part of you.
And to have both ways is the only way you can be a good trader, right? It's the only way, unless you are constantly trading a one time frame, you have to have that ability to switch because the markets switch as they will. Yeah. There's the best thing I ever heard about like the best analogy I ever heard about trading is Tori Trades. Do you know who she is? She's an influencer. She trades mostly stocks and Forex, I think. But she said, you have got to picture any kind of trading or any kind of market as they are setting you up for a carnival game. The odds are against you at all times. And if you play it like a carnival game, then you will do well in the market. If you don't play it like a carnival game and you play it like a game, any other game that you play in any other day of life, right? Then you will lose more than you win. And so you have to think about it as the market is working against you at all costs. And that makes sense because there are market makers and they have big money and they are moving it, and the exchanges are moving it too. The exchanges have market makers. And if you think you're going to work without a stop loss and just pick a direction of the market and put a trade in the morning and have it go your way, more power to you, because that doesn't work out more often than not.
Yeah, it's like thinking you got a fair chance and then the football gets pulled out underneath you and you end up on your butt.
Yep.
If I could, I'd like to jump into this. Sure. You mentioned earlier that you are running a blockchain project and there's no need to go public if you're not ready for it. But I'm curious, how does running a project give you insight into technology, maybe the community dynamics? And if so, how did those insights help your long-term investments?
Yeah, so the project, I'll say it. The project is Bay Sharon. We actually, it's a meme charity project, and what it does is we are partnered with someone you've probably seen before. His name is Steven Shapiro. He's got 4.5 million followers on TikTok. And what we do is he gives out our charity wallet every time it hits a certain amount on his socials, and we sponsor those giveaway videos in random acts of kindness. And the reason why this started is because my husband and I have a giving account that we have a certain amount of our income go into every month. And instead of giving it to a church or a foundation, we give it to people who are in like 6 degrees of us. So if we know of somebody who is struggling with medical bills or rent or needs their car fixed and doesn't have the money to do so, that's what that giving account is for. And so that's where this project came from. Now, I usually don't talk about it a lot. I am probably going to start going live on that channel. But the way that it started was I am partnered with the person who introduced me to Bitcoin. Actually, it's been running for a year, so there's longevity there.
Very good.
I
said very good.
Yeah, and Steven Shapiro is a very large influencer who has nothing to do with crypto. And I cold DM'd him and said, hey, I love your giving videos. I have this idea. I don't know if you're into crypto, but if you are, can you get back to me? And he wrote back to me within 15 minutes and said, I'll do it for free. And so it is a really cool project. You guys will hear more about it. I'm just careful about shilling anything at all, really. But it is a legit project. It is a really cool venture. What I've learned from it, and we started, actually it's more than a year. We started in July of last year. We started it when we thought, and I think a lot of people thought that this was going to happen, right? We thought the bull run was going to kick off. And then what happened is the pump fund, with all the memes and the dilution, really killed a lot of the legitimate projects that we're really trying to build. And so we took a little bit of a lull for a while. And so anyway, so that's what it is. But what it's taught me is a lot of things, actually. People don't understand the workings behind a crypto project. And in crypto, we treat crypto projects like they're not real businesses, right?
And it's been it takes up a majority of time. It's not easy to have it a successful one, but running the project, you're actually running the project.
Yes. Yeah. And so what they don't understand is like what I was telling you about the VCs before, right? So we were actually listed on a central exchange. And this is why I'm very leery about other small cap projects too, right? We were listed on a central exchange, which we thought was a super big deal. And all they did was they basically market made our token and then kind of drained it, right? And so and that's why I'm saying that a lot of these projects, like to get on these exchanges, you have to pay a ridiculous amount of money. This is not like last cycle where things would get on an exchange because they got a lot of popularity. They're paying $40,000 to $80,000 to get on each exchange. So if you think that a meme coin that's at, a small market cap is getting anywhere because they're pounding the pavement, that isn't usually what's happening. So that's one of the things that I've learned. The other thing that I've learned is that workers again, I did this all from researching on my own, right? I started a Telegram. We started a Discord. I hired everybody overseas and in different countries and started a Twitter and got an artist. And so every part of that is, first of all, time consuming. Second of all, there's a lot of people being used in the crypto space. Number one, there's a lot of workers from Africa. Actually, my whole team is from Nigeria. And the way that the crypto space, with all of the money that we have in this space, the way that the crypto space is treating them or paying them is incredible. It's awful. And I've learned things about a lot of projects that shine a rough light on the whole meme coin or the whole kind of small cap projects, and kind of what they're doing. I've also seen like the back end of things. And so what I've realized is if you have a legitimate project, which is why I'm mostly invested in utility projects now, you have a legitimate project who is building quietly, who doesn't need to come out every time they do something or every day and give you updates of like what they're doing next. That's a legitimate project. Businesses don't run like that. Real businesses, I just was telling Jay Heat this morning on the phone, I was like, we don't ask Apple to come out every day, the CEO of Apple, and tell us a brand new thing that they're doing every day. But we expect that of crypto projects. And I think that is kind of what sets my bags apart from other projects, is that they're the projects that are silently building. They may have a pop here and a pop there, and they may have a little news piece here. XRP has obviously had more than that, but I need to see what they're building in the background. I need to see their partnerships. I need to see their marketing team, and not just marketing team, like, throwing big ads on a billboard or like buying a stadium. I don't need to see that. I need to see them actually partnering with partners that make sense. And that's who I'm buying right now. And I think that's what running a project has taught me, is there's a lot of smoke and mirrors in this industry. There's a lot of projects that you think have a lot of following, but they're using volume bots that create a new wallet every time they buy. And so if you think they have 1 million holders, they really only have 100 holders, and that 100 is the top, 10%. It's just, there's a lot of scammy stuff going on.
That's why it's so important to be picking up on the breadcrumbs. Like you said, it's usually the ones that are building in silence that have the biggest effects on just about everything.
Yes. And they're showing you the proof, right? I would rather them wait for something to come out than to tell me it's coming out for months.
Yeah, like I don't want to speculate on it. I want official documentation, official source, proof that what you're saying is true. And right. Don't kind of like a hook, line, and sinker me.
No, under promise, over deliver. Like that's the name of the game. And it should be the name of the game here. I don't know why it's not. All
right. I'd like to jump into some rapid questions with you, rapid fire questions.
Sure.
You ready?
I'm ready.
What is up with the pineapples?
Okay. I'll tell this story because I don't think I've seen this person in a very long time. I had someone who, I'm going to be careful about this. I had someone who was in a community that I was in that I thought was a professional, but when it came down to it, they were what the pineapples mean. The upside down pineapple actually means. And I was propositioned. And so I had said this to one of my friends in the community, and it just ended up being this thing. So I am not, but the pineapples represent that. So that's what that's.
That's gotta be so uncomfortable.
It was making fun of someone else, but it was, but it ended up being my trademark.
I'm never running from it now.
I'm never running from it, and to be honest, it's fine. And like, it's funny because I know what's behind it, but it's just, it is what it is. So that's what it is.
I remember when I came on your live and I saw it in there, I said, what the heck is going on?
What the heck? Does she like fruit or what's up with
like, are they saying that to me?
Yeah, no, it wasn't.
Okay, what was the first crypto that you ever bought?
Sure.
Favorite altcoin outside of the top 20?
IMX.
What is IMX?
Immutable X. So they're actually one of my biggest holdings. They are a gaming project that a lot of the blockchain gaming companies are partnered with and building with. And they've been around for a long time. I have held them all the way through the bear market and have not sold any. So if that tells you where my conviction is.
I want to look into this.
Yeah, they are a huge company. They have partnerships with multiple large gaming companies. And I believe that they're probably going to be, if we have a gaming narrative, which I think we are going to have, they move, that asset, when it moves very fast and very rapid.
Well, that's what I like. I like the adoption. So if you're saying that there is adoption and there's traction and things that I can actually look up, and look
Yeah.
at it?
Oh yeah. And they already have the proof, right? When I buy stuff, I'm looking for the proof, especially in gaming. I don't want you to tell me that there's a game coming out in the next 5 months or, before the next bear market. Like, I want games on chain now. I want you to tell me what you're doing and who you're partnering with. And they've done that all along. So for me, it's them, and I'm heavily invested in Gala. I know there's been some kind of bad vibes with them, but I'm still holding them for now.
Okay, thank you for that. One mistake new traders make over and over and over.
Don't use a stop loss or jump. You know what? Jump back into a trade after they've lost one.
TikTok content or chart analysis, which one takes up more of your time?
TikTok content creation.
Most memorable trade win or loss that you've learned from?
Yeah, most memorable trade would be Gala. It had a point where GameStop had bought a lot of it at one point, and they had to dump a lot of it. It was about 2 or 3 years ago, and I saw the news, and I got on my my computer, and I put shorts in, and I swear, like, I was making, like, I never say what I make, but I was making like $5,000 like every 5 minutes. Like, it was insane, right? Like, and so yeah, most memorable trade, that for sure.
Morning routine, coffee first or checking the charts first?
Definitely checking the chart. I check the charts, like, I'll wake up at 4 a.m. and check the charts. Like, I'm checking the charts if I go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. So definitely charts.
One crypto educator or mentor who's influenced you the most?
The most. I would have to say, well, there's two. I would have to say probably Crypto Lifer, right? He's a trader and a very good one. So I think I've learned the most from him. And then here right now would be Cosmic, actually. And I think it's because he looks at things differently than me. So I'm challenged a lot of the time talking to him, which is a good, like, we always want to be challenged. We always want to have people around us that challenge us. And so, yeah, so I'll say that.
Meme coins, guilty pleasure or a waste of time?
Can be both. You get into the right one, guilty pleasure. You get into the wrong one, waste of time.
What is harder, being consistent as a trader or as a content creator?
For me, it's a content creator.
Why is that?
Because it's hard to know what people respond to, right? And so although I have a style, I'm constantly looking for things that will grab people more, right? And so it's easier for me to be consistent as a trader because I have rules and I abide by those rules, and that is what it is.
Okay, yeah, no, I absolutely get that. People's attention span are changing every week. New trends, new sounds.
Yeah.
Best time of the day to trade: morning, afternoon, or late night?
I like first. So if I can get a trade on at that 4:30 mark, like.
Oh, you're not kidding! You're waking up, you're going to the bathroom.
I will do that. Yeah. So if sometimes, like, I will look at the chart at 4:30 or 5. And 4:30 is better than 5 for some reason. It's that morning move before the open. So sometimes you can catch a 4:30 or 5 trade, and you can see that move before the open. You can catch it, get your trade in, take profit before the open happens and the volatility happens, and then you're out for the day. And you can make your money before the day even starts.
Would you rather win one massive trade or 10 consistent small ones?
10 consistent small ones.
Is that because it proves your strategy, gives you confidence?
It's because, no, it's because the longer you're in a trade, the more risk you have to get stopped out or liquidated. If you're not using a stop, liquidated. But if you're using a stop, there are very few trades that I have seen, like, on a long time frame, let's say a 4-hour time frame, that I'm like, oh, this is going to go all the way from down here and it's going to shoot all the way up here. And I can ride that all the way up. The market does not want you to take that money out of the market. So if you just think that way and you think that your tiny trades are compounding profit on top of one another, it's way better to consistently make small wins than it is to make one big win and a lot of other losses, right?
I absolutely get that. Funniest comment that you've ever gotten on TikTok?
Oh God. I can tell you the funniest thing. I don't know the funniest comment, but the funniest thing anyone's ever done is who's the content creator that like wears a shield and he looks like Captain America? His name is Steve, I think. He took one of my videos completely out of context and like did a stitch to it. And I was like, that's not even what I was saying. Like he completely took it out of context. So I think that's probably the funniest thing that's happened. As far as comments go, I really have respectful people in my comments. Like as much as other than like the raunchy comments, like I normally people are extremely respectful.
One project that you wish people took more seriously?
Let's see. Probably IMX, I would say. Same thing. I think if you're not looking right now, you know, there's been a lot, or any AI projects. Let's see if I can pull some out, like AIMX. There's a couple of AI projects that are good, that are out there. So anything that's in a narrative that people aren't paying attention to right now. Like there's no, maybe even metaverse projects. I'm not sure how far they'll go, but there are a couple that have still been building and people are still using. That may be something that could pop up as a narrative, even maybe after, like as one of those pop-up narratives after the full cycle is kind of over.
I can hear their pens going. What do you want your audience to feel after hearing you speak? Is it inspiration, maybe empowerment? What do you want your audience to feel after you done speaking?
I think that I'm just like them. Like I want my audience or our audience to feel like I'm just like them. That I'm not, there isn't this huge separation between me or my knowledge or where I am in crypto, that they can listen to me and just feel like they're listening to somebody that they would hang out with.
Yep, absolutely. How do you personally measure success in this space? Is it money, freedom, impact on people's lives?
It's definitely impact on people's lives right now. You know, money comes from patience, right? And money comes from being disciplined. But my whole, obviously would love to make money in the crypto space, right? I have made money in the crypto space, would love to make more. But I think right now my focus is just to let other people know that this is a valid space to be in, that you can make money. And I find more joy in other people having wins than I do in myself.
Yeah, I think that does bring a different type of contentment, especially when you're like, okay, I've had mine, and here's your time.
Yeah.
Bring something that.
And I don't ever. Sorry, go ahead. What'd you say? I'm sorry.
I said that's something that's almost hard to find elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that gives you that sense of accomplishment or contentment, where it's like you're watching, like, because just as much as you have people listening to you, their success is also a part of your story.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And I think for me, it's like, you know, obviously this is a personal challenge for me too. Like I'm constantly doing new things to challenge myself. And I think being on TikTok and building up what I've built here, and built up with this community, you know, there are a lot of people that have been with me since day one, like pushing me forward when I didn't even know them. Like most of us have never met each other, you know? And so, I think that is a personal accomplishment to just do that in general, but then to be able to help and educate people that were like me, and I couldn't find what I needed a lot of the time. If I had known someone that I could just ask questions to, or like get little snippets of, like, I don't know, what cold wallets were good, or if I had someone to reference on like how to set up my cold wallet, so I didn't have to watch 80 videos on YouTube to try to figure out how to do it. Like, that's what I'm aiming for, right? And the more people we get to come in this space and stay in this space, the more our bags go up anyway, right? And that's why, like, I was so against like a lot of the meme mania that was in here, because if we get people in here and the first thing we show them is that we're gonna forcefully take your money by bringing you into a space and telling you that this is safe, and then having bad intentions, then we're just doing our space a disservice in general. And we need to all protect the space as much as we possibly can.
Bullish, do you have any closing thoughts or any advice that you would like to leave to my audience as well as yours?
I think just, oh gosh, I know I should have been prepared for this one. Thank you for supporting both of us. And you know, if there's something that you want to know I think this is probably it. If there's something that you want to know that you think is dumb or below, like, or is a stupid question or is below, you know, what we're talking about, please just shout it out. Because to be honest, there are probably 15 or 20 other people in the audience thinking that exact same question. And if you don't ask it, the thing that's going to happen is you're either going to make a mistake or you're going to leave the space because you weren't, you know, you didn't have the courage to ask it. Just have the courage. All of us are kind. We'll all guide you through whatever you need. And I wish that somebody had told me that at first, because I was way behind. And I think the fear of asking a question, I'm glad it didn't push me out of the market, but I think it could have at some point.
I think that's why joining a community and being around like-minded people, but also people that you think have good intentions, people that you believe are truthful and that are trustful, is so important. I don't understand how people could be in this space alone. I mean, I certainly wouldn't be where I am today if I didn't have my partner with me. But
it is really hard, and it's really hard. I mean, it's really hard to find real people. Like, there's something about social media that makes people feel like they can hide behind a screen, or they can make a different persona and put that out. But usually what happens is eventually that persona shines through and people understand who you are anyway. And I've been fortunate enough to meet a bunch of the, you know, I went to Bitcoin Vegas and got to meet, like, you know, Jay Heat, and I hung out with DeFi Mike and Angel Money, like a bunch of the people that we talk to on a regular basis. And that was super fun because it's like, at Caveman. And that was super fun because it was, you finally got to meet some people in real life that we like spend more time with than some of our normal friends in everyday life. So that was really fun and nice too.
Well, I think that does it for us. Thank you so much for joining, and I definitely learned some things from you, and I really appreciate you educating me as well as my audience.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, and I'll be on these lives whenever I can. I know Cosmic is coming on next week, so I'll be heckling in the crowd.
Very excited for that. Yeah, if you want to send me some things to.
I know he sent you the pineapples. I saw that. Guys, plug the show. He said plug the show. I will plug the show. We have Cosmically Bullish every day, every weekday at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We switch off between Cosmic and my channel. It really is just like a fun time. And we love having the community that we have. We're also part of the Wolf Pack, which is an off TikTok community. I teach trading in there. So, and we have lives in there. There's whale alerts, there's signals. And it's just a really fun time in a smaller community. So if you guys do want to join a community, feel free to do that through the link in my bio.
Yeah, guys, it's great. It's great actually talking to educators, content creators that have a good heart, have good intentions. And they are teaching you guys the right thing. So please check out their shows. BullishBabe, Cosmic Crypto, please check them out. Follow them, share all their videos, and check out the Wolfpack, because I think that's fantastic education for some of you guys.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you having me on. And I will be in here whenever I can. So, and hopefully we'll do another one of these at some point.
Absolutely. Thank you
all right.
so much.
I'll see you guys later. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for all the gifts. Have a good night.
Good night, guys.
Bye.